This is the 18 WJTS News. In tonight's news, Huntingburg police make two separate arrests in connection to a pair of domestic incidents. 15th Street closure planned as 231 Waterline project continues. Trial date set with man involved in battery death. Kurt Guxell will be in with sports, and WJTS Inform continues. All this and more tonight on 18 WJTS News. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Jenna Schaffer with the WJTS News. Huntingburg police made two arrests in connection to a pair of separate domestic incidents that both took place late last week. Police say just before 11 p.m. last Friday, officers were called to an apartment located along the 300 block of North Chestnut Street, and the report of a domestic incident with strangulation that reportedly had taken place at that location. The female victim in the incident told police that the subject, 27-year-old Alfredo Castillo of Huntingburg, had left the scene on foot in an unknown direction before officers arrived. Officers were unable to locate Castillo despite an extensive search. Meanwhile, the female victim in the incident refused medical treatment. After police concluded their investigation, a warrant was issued Tuesday evening for Castillo's arrest through the DuBois County Circuit Court. Around 10 o'clock last night, police located Castillo and took him into custody without incident with the help of deputies with the DuBois County Sheriff's Department. He was first taken to Huntingburg Police Headquarters for questioning before being taken to and booked into the DuBois County Security Center on level 6 felony counts of strangulation and intimidation and a misdemeanor count of domestic battery. Around 12:15 Saturday morning, Huntingburg officers were called to a home located along the 1000 block of Main Street where another battery had reportedly taken place. When police arrived, a female at that location told authorities that her boyfriend, 46-year-old Bobby Goodwin, had just physically assaulted her and that he had left the residence, possibly heading towards his residence in Winslow. Police say the victim had blood on her face, hands, and arms, and that her face was swollen as a result of being battered. Memorial Hospital Emergency Medical Services were called to the scene and provided treatment to the victim, who police say refused to go to the hospital for further treatment. Huntingburg police contacted the Pike County Sheriff's Department, who checked on Goodwin's Winslow residence. A short time later, Huntingburg police were told that Goodwin had been found. He was later turned over to Huntingburg authorities, was interviewed, and was eventually placed under arrest and booked into the DuBois County Security Center on a level 6 felony count of domestic battery. Huntingburg police were assisted by Memorial Hospital EMS, the Pike County Sheriff's Department, and Indiana State Police. Officials with the city of Jasper say that as the US 231 Waterline Supply project moves forward as scheduled, officials want to remind the public of next week's planned closure of the portion of 15th Street east of Newton to Main Street. A release from the city says that one block stretch adjacent to the Springs Valley Bank will be closed for about a week depending on the weather. The closure will occur beginning the morning of Monday, February 11th, and reopen by the end of the business day, Friday, February 15th. Contractors are currently in the process of completing Phase 2 of the project, which runs along Newton Street from 2nd Street to 15th Street. Once that phase reaches 15th Street, it will go one block from Newton to Main. The objective of the project, which began this past October, is to replace approximately 13,000 linear feet of existing water lines that are on average 80 years old. Components of the project are water line installation, pressure testing and chlorination of water lines, service line installation, and road repairs. Altogether, the water supply and pressure improvement project will consist of 3 phases. The third phase will begin at Matthew Avenue near the Water Tower and stretch along Newton North from Matthew to the traffic light at 30th Street before heading east on 30th and concluding at Lotus Drive. The US 231 Waterline Supply project is expected to be completed sometime in April. Road repairs done as part of this project will be temporary repairs. After the project is completed, NDOT is expected to begin their own project for final repairs consisting of the milling and resurfacing of US Highway 231. City officials in Jasper would like to thank everyone for their patience during this project. The DuBois County Soil and Water Conservation District held their annual meeting earlier this week and featured a keynote address by Bruce Kettler. Kettler is the director of the Indiana Department of Agriculture. We spoke with Kettler, and he describes the importance of DuBois County to agriculture in Indiana.
Well, DuBois County's obviously been an integral part of agriculture, not only when we think about production of crops, but when we think about the importance of things like hardwood, the kitchen cabinets, the furniture industry. When you think about where that's centered in this state, there's just a whole lot of very interesting activities that happen. And then you start adding in the livestock piece component of it as well. You hit all the major areas of Indiana agriculture, and this is just a really important part of the state of Indiana and for Indiana in terms of the agriculture and the breadth and depth of agriculture that we have.
Improving stewardship of land and water is the purpose of soil and water conservation districts and plays a large role in the Indiana Department of Agriculture. Kettler explains.
Yes, so we have a great partnership with local soil and water conservation districts like here in DuBois County. So the Indiana State Department of Agriculture Soil Division staff would work very closely with the local soil conservation district, but we also then partner with the federal at the federal level with Natural Resources Conservation Service personnel. So in Indiana, we're really proud of the conservation efforts that are accomplished by having all three entities working together in partnership to make sure that the landowner and the farmer is getting great value. And Indiana, frankly, is a model for making that happen in the United States.
The Soil and Water Conservation District promotes to all citizens, both agricultural and non-agricultural, the vital benefits of protecting and preserving of all natural resources. For more information about Soil and Water Conservation Districts, contact your local district office. The Miss, Little Miss, and Little Mr. Shamrock pageants are set to take place Saturday, March 2nd, beginning at 2 p.m. at the Ireland Elementary School. Contestants must be residents of Madison or Boone Townships or attend or have attended Ireland Elementary School. The deadline to enter is this Sunday, February 10th. Miss Shamrock contestants must be 16 or older by March 17th and 20 or younger on the 17th. There will be several opportunities for the contestants to meet one another and receive helpful hints prior to the pageant. The meetings are not required, but participants are encouraged to attend all events. Attendance will be required at the dress rehearsal on Friday, March 1st, at a time to be determined later. Little Miss and Little Mr. contestants must be in grades kindergarten through 2nd. An informal meet and greet will be held prior to the pageant. Dress rehearsal will be held Friday, March 1st. Entry forms are available at the Ivy Manor in Jasper, Bean to Sprout in Ireland, and Spuds in Ireland. St. Patrick's Day will be celebrated March 15th through the 17th in the Ireland community. Winners will be asked to attend events throughout the weekend. For more information, call Charlotte Olson at 812-630-1977 or email cnolson108@icloud.com. A trial date has been set for the man accused of battery in the death of a Washington woman. 41-year-old Chad Harrington appeared in Davies Superior Court earlier this week. He was arrested last week in connection with the death of Bambi Cannon. Cannon died January 14th in a hospital in Louisville after being transferred there from Davies County on January 11th. Cannon was said to have been suffering from an overdose, but it was discovered by medical staff she had trauma to the head they said was not caused from an overdose. A police investigation later resulted in the arrest of Harrington, who was charged with involuntary manslaughter and aggravated battery. Harrington was appointed an attorney and a trial date was set for June 18th. His bond was set at $500,000. Over the last 6 months, District 48 State Senator Mark Messmer of Jasper says he has received many calls from people in the community expressing their dissatisfaction with Southeasterns, a non-emergency medical transportation service here in Indiana. Many Hoosiers have missed doctor's appointments because their driver never showed up or was extremely late to pick them up. Messmer says it has been a problem not only in the area, but all across the state. He says countless Medicaid recipients who rely on this service are being left with no reliable alternative, putting their health at risk. He says lawmakers from across the state, including himself, are disturbed at the lack of organization and are working diligently to address the issue. Senate Bill 480, authored by Messmer, recently passed the Senate Committee on Health and Provider Services by 11-0. The bill would set new standards for non-emergency medical transportation under the Medicaid fee-for-service program. These conditions would include requiring service providers to list on their website the number of vehicles and drivers serving each county, the number of times they failed to provide transportation, and why they failed to pick up the patient. This legislation, if enacted, would also establish the Non-Emergency Medical Transportation Commission to review these statistics and determine whether the service provider is fulfilling their contract. Messmer says it's extremely important to address the issue. He says the service is often critical for low-income Hoosiers and the elderly. It is also crucial for those who live in rural areas due to the lack of public transportation options and the distance to healthcare providers. He says the bill would directly address issues regarding Southeasterns and give the state the resources necessary to hold them accountable if they continue to fail to provide transportation to Hoosiers. Messmer says he hopes the bill would put an end to Medicaid patients missing appointments because of lack of transportation. As always, feel free to contact Messmer's office directly with your questions and concerns by email at senator.messmer@iga.in.gov or by phone at 800-382-9467. Stay tuned. Weather and sports is still to come on WJTS News.